Oh, good.
I got you back.
Jonathan's on it. I am Deborah Bellotti, one of the organizers. Also, Philip Baird, Craig, Jennifer DeCamp is not here this morning, and Jonathan Putman. We always have Sterling Huff here, who's a original founder organizer, and he's always awesome. Yes. So great. See, Sterling, it is true. We want to thank our sponsors. We have Brick and Mortar Coffee. That is also Jonathan. They supply some of the best coffee in the world. Database Systems, you see our computers out front. They are a terrific supporter of ours. Spark Events does all of our video and helps us immensely. So when you look at the YouTube, yay, they have our video production quality has gone up immensely since they're here. So go to the YouTube channel and check out. And the Springfield Art Museum. I cannot forget them. They are fantastic. They make it, we look like TED Talks up here. This is our ways to connect, and just, you can see, jot down, take a picture of the screen, whatever. I'm not going to read through all of them, but this is the way you can connect with us. And we've been doing the Refill Station, which is a really cool blog, so check that out as well. Oh, good.
Sorry, you're good.
Me off. Am I done? Is this the hook?
I miss Bryce. I miss Bryce a lot.
I do miss Bryce too. We have two really great presenters this morning. We have Josh Holstein. Drink the Holstein. He told me how to remember this. And Marlene Chism. But Josh is going up first, and he has CellARide. He is a refill. Project really well. Anyway, I want to have Josh come out. He has an awesome presentation. We watched this Monday, and it's great. Josh.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That was good, though. Good morning. Hopefully this works. And I project my voice, so it's going to be real loud. But good morning. Thanks for having us back. My name is Josh Holstein. I'm the founder of a technology company using text messages to revolutionize boat, ATV, and RV shopping. So about 2 years ago, when I came and presented the first time, we were 100% focused on the automotive space, but over the last couple years, we've kind of expanded that. Back then, I said that if an industry came to us, we'll go after it, but we are focused on the automotive space, and I'll get to that in just a second, but let's go back to where we began. CellARide began when I came across a vehicle that looked very similar to this one about 5 years ago. Extremely cool car, but I didn't have the time nor the want to call the phone number on the sign. As most of you know, we live in an age where we want more, we want it now, and we don't have time for anything. That pretty much sums me up in a nutshell. I wanted to be able to text the vehicle and receive back all the answers to the questions while I was standing there in front of it, very similar to this. I have a computer degree from the best university in the state. Go Bears. So I used that degree to create the prototype of what we now call the CellARide for Sell by Owner product. So now I've got this great new product, but how in the world am I going to get it to the masses with the lack of resources that we had at that time, which was about 5.5 years ago in Springfield, Missouri. That was before the E-Factory. That was before 1 million cups. That was before any of the infrastructure and resources that we have today. So I'm sitting here trying to figure that out, and that's when I was introduced to this gentleman. As you can imagine, he had those resources and understood how to take a technology company to the masses, and so he also had the automotive space kind of figured out as well. So I met him about 4 years ago, and we literally spoke for 5 hours. He immediately jumped on as an advisor and investor in the company, and shortly after that meeting, we virtually shelved that for sale by owner product and realized the massive potential that our technology brings to the dealership space. Not only providing this young lady with the pertinent information she's wanting in real time, but also providing the dealerships and the brands with the knowledge of who's on their lot when they're not. So I went back to the drawing board, created the dealership product from the ground up, and we call it Car Info to Go. So on the surface, it's pretty simple. Car Info to Go produces what we call ride tags. Ride tags are professionally produced window stickers that go on the dealership's entire inventory. When a shopper comes on the lot, they simply text the vehicle's unique keyword to our free short code, and within seconds, they'll receive a mobile brochure that includes all the pertinent information about that vehicle, including photos, video, Carfax report, vehicle review, the dealer's finance application, brand promotions, you name it, it can be placed on that mobile brochure. At the same time that shopper is receiving that pertinent information, the dealership and the brands are receiving the shopper's contact information to follow up in a less threatening format via CRM, email, as well as text message. But we've also built a very intuitive online platform that they can use to be able to track how their shoppers are interacting with the brand. This is showing their shoppers distributed over the month. You can drill down into each individual shopper to see which vehicles that they're interested in, at what dates and what times that they inquired about those. So when we first started this, it was stick these tags on cars, you get leads, you follow up on leads, you sell more cars, and that works extremely well. We've been able to prove that out as long as dealerships stick them and follow up in a proper format. What we learned over time is that people use this technology and use it over and over again, and so now we can use this not just on the lot. How about in digital and print, at events? How about even at malls? And so once we realize that and we can understand how shoppers are interacting with the brand, we now can follow that shopper through their interactions from start to finish. So we now have a shopper path, which is one of our biggest features that we have in the product. So you can see this shopper started at a mall. They viewed the mobile brochure 3 times. They viewed the Carfax report at 2:30 in the morning, and I believe that this lead actually did lead to a sale. We can follow that shopper through their interactions from start, even to finish, to where we integrate with the dealer's DMS and know what their front and back gross profit was on that particular sale. So you can imagine that's very valuable to some of the clients that we're working with today. So since 2 years ago, whenever I presented, we've added quite a few feature sets. The one that I just talked about is called the Shopper Path. We also have a virtual garage. If you can imagine, every single vehicle that you inquire about gets added to your online virtual garage free of charge. That virtual garage is very valuable to the shopper to be able to see, compare and contrast the vehicles that you're interested in on one platform. So if you go to carinfotogo.com, enter your phone number, you'll be able to see all those vehicles in one platform. We've added IP capture, which is very valuable to those marketing firms that we're working with, as well as geolocation, so that we know where people are when they're interacting with the platform. And then we've added a one-to-one chat into this. So some of the clients that we're working with are wanting to utilize the technology for marketing their vehicles, but they're also wanting to keep compliant when they're communicating with those shoppers. So communicating with them via the platform, texting through the platform, keeping those chat transcripts, as well as a click-to-call feature that they can call through the browser, and we can keep those recordings within the platform. So going back to where we started, I was one of the first 5 companies in the e-factory. Yep. Thank you. And when we started, it was just me and in a single office. I was all over the place for about 2.5 years before I went into the e-factory, kind of streamlined that approach when we moved in. And we were invited to go see Jim McKelvey speak. And Jim is on the left. Jim McKelvey is the founder of Square. It started up in St. Louis, Missouri, then moved out to the coast. He's actually brought it back to St. Louis. But he came down, and there was a couple things that I took away from that meeting. It really kind of changed our trajectory whenever I went to go see him speak. The first thing he said was, if you're going to fail, fail fast. And that's true. Really what it means is, he's not saying go fail. He's meaning if you've got a disruptive technology that's set to disrupt an industry, don't wait around. And that's what I was doing, was waiting around for about 2.5 years. And so that really rang true to me at that time. And then the other thing that he said is, if you've got that disruptive technology, reach out to me. I've got a venture capital firm up in St. Louis. I shook his hand. I went back to the e-factory. I reached out to Cultivation Capital. They responded back about a month later saying, hey, you're a little too early for us right now. This was about 3 years ago. But we strongly recommend, we like what you're doing, and we strongly recommend you go into our accelerator arm. So Capital Innovators is a technology accelerator. Long story short, we were one of the 5 companies in the spring 2014 class of Capital Innovators, and while we were there, they became the number 6 technology accelerator in the nation, which gave us a lot of validation as being a part of their portfolio. They also reinvested in us after the program, which they don't do with everybody, which is another big validation point. So while in Capital Innovators, we realized that we're the experts on the technology, and instead of us trying to figure out how to be the experts in the industry, let's take a top-down approach and plug into those experts in the industry. While there, we plugged in. General Motors was our first big client, but it was just me at the time. And so we were a little early for this deal, but we got a huge opportunity with General Motors. We were the first text message marketing product to be eligible for their co-op program. So, naive Josh, thinking, okay, I'll go get it. Let's do an inside sales process and go out and get these dealerships. A large number of dealers in a short amount of time is what we had to do. And so we were gearing up to reach those dealerships, and that's when these guys came calling. They heard about what we were doing with GM, and they said, hey, come on out to Torrance. Went out there a couple times, and they immediately jumped on and said, hey, not only are we going to implement this, we're going to put money behind it, and we're also going to put an advocate behind it as well, which is something that we didn't have with GM. So we got a paid pilot with the Central Atlantic Toyota region, got our foot in the door within the Toyota organization, and then we kicked that door open when we signed a deal with the Toyota Dealers Association out in that region. So right now what we're working with them on is these grassroots events. So our product at events, these are some of the events that we've had great success, and now has led into a national events rollout with Toyota. So we're working with Saatchi, which is their tier one, the national marketing firm for Toyota Motor Sales USA. We're working on a deal as we speak with them, and it's getting ready to close hopefully today, tomorrow, maybe. We're, obviously these larger corporations take a while to get anything accomplished, but we are really close to getting that deal closed. Going back to St. Louis real quick, you've probably been on their campus. Merritt's, as you drive up to a ball game in St. Louis, you drive right under their walkway bridge. Merritt's has been a loyalty, incentive, and marketing firm for the automakers for quite some time. They've been around since 1895. They heard about us through the Capital Innovators program, and we've been working with them for about a year and a half now. There's a lot of synergies and a lot of opportunities that we've been working through within Merritt's. We just got back. I see my team over here. We just got back from Nashville last week. So we went out to meet with Nissan last week alongside Merritt's. We've been working with Merritt's in the Nissan division of Merritt's for quite some time now. And we had 4 really big meetings out there last week that things are really starting to move forward with some opportunities. If you can imagine, CellARide by Merritt's is really the approach that we're taking with those opportunities. We jumped in the car and we drove to St. Louis last week. We've been working with Enterprise as well. They're another very, very large St. Louis corporation, but they've obviously got a lot of cars and they know the business. We've been working with them for about 10 months now. Had 3 great meetings over there that have now led to a non-disclosure agreement that they sent us on Friday. And we've got a huge number of opportunities, really 3 opportunities, but those opportunities are so large that it's extremely exciting. It's very exciting for the fact that they actually even thought to send us a non-disclosure agreement the next day, which was, of course, whenever someone in that position thinks about your company the next day, it's saying something. And so going back to the first slide about watercraft, ATVs, and RVs, I can't talk a whole lot about this. I'm sorry. We're under a non-disclosure agreement, but when we were working with Bass Pro on some Toyota stuff, because Toyota is a big partner of Bass Pro, we were working with them, and the director of business development said, hey, we have a lot of boats. I said, yep. We have 95 locations. Yep. So one thing led to another. Now Boat Info To Go is one of our product lines. As you can see, you can take that car out of the platform. The platform is really the intellectual property. You take that car out of it, you can add in anything into that platform and see great value with it. So hopefully you'll hear a little bit more in the media in the near future on what we're doing with Bass Pro. These are all those deals that we're working on. We're at or near the finish line with each one of them, and it's very exciting because we took that top-down approach, and it does take a little bit more time than if we were taking that bottoms-up approach, but I think once these deals hit, things will get really exciting. This was me back in 2013. I started in one of the smallest offices in the E-Factory, and now we're in one of the largest offices in that building. We've got a great team. We got a new team member. She's the chief doodler. She's a golden doodle. She's been a great addition to the team lately, so we're very excited about the future. And again, my name is Josh Holstein. I'm the founder of a technology company using text messages to revolutionize vehicle shopping. And thanks again for having us.
Josh, thanks a lot, man. This mic works. Thanks for sharing your story, how inspirational that this is happening in our own backyard. This is really cool. This is the Q&A portion, so raise your hand if you guys have questions, input. LaDonna and I will be walking up and down the aisles to give you a mic, and then Deb will point at you. She's at the front when it's your turn to stand up and speak. If you get this mic, hold it far away from your mouth. I'm actually going to go ahead and lead with a quick question, Josh, for you. You had mentioned you were one of the first 5 companies in the E-Factory. When you first started getting some bites, you were a team of 1. Can you share with us what revenue looked like for your company year 1, if there was any, year 2, year 3, but more, I think, I'd be more excited to hear what are projections for the rest of 2016. What are you guys hoping to do in 2017?
You ever heard of the hockey stick? That's really what this is. We had revenue early on. You know, we've over the last 2-3 years, we've had almost $400,000 in revenue. It's slowly but surely, and again, the way that I've said this before, I came at this from a consumer-facing perspective. I'm not a car guy. I am now. I became a car guy, but not understanding that industry. And so going and getting the proof of concept and going door to door, knocking on these doors was very difficult. But we were able to prove that out. Not only are you able to prove out that the product is valuable to dealers and shoppers, but also able to prove out that they'll pay for it. And so we've got revenue coming in from that. But once we realized we took that top-down approach, we had to focus all of our resources on that. And so, yes, the bottoms-up approach or that direct-to-dealership approach kind of went by the wayside because it takes a lot of time, money, and effort to really support those deals, the smaller deals. And so once we took that, we had to jump all in because we don't have those resources to do both. And so once we realized that, we took that approach, and all of our resources have gone to this top-down, plugging into the experts in the industry, and once those deals hit, that's where that hockey stick will come from. And we've got different pricing models that we've worked out with them, and we've got projections that will lead into a good 7-figure revenue stream in the next, depending on when these deals hit, the next 6 to 12 months.
How do you take that into account and either help customize that experience or help assure people using the service that it's not going to be a bad experience? And actually, it was a one-part question. There you go.
That's good. No, that's a great question. So we are 100%, if I could be 150%, I would be TCPA compliant. Telephone Consumer Protection Act is what governs everything we do on text marketing. And so you're better off utilizing our platform than if someone just put a phone number up on a sign and said text it, because they're not following any type of a guideline. Where for us, we're following that guide. The system is making sure that they're staying compliant. There is certain ways. So I'm trying to think of an example. Say Redbox. Redbox is one that uses text marketing a lot. And there are certain numbers of proactive texts that they can send per month. And once they hit that, and you've opted into that, once they've hit that, they can't send any more. And so they cannot hound you based on that. So we've made sure with the For Sale by Owner product that we are protecting the shopper as much as we can. With dealers and with brands, we've got other contracts that we can sign to make sure that they're protected. They're more professional. There's ways to look at that. But when it comes to the For Sale by Owner side of it, we're very cautious with how we're allowing them to hound you, if that makes sense. So really, we want to make sure that the experience on your end is a good one. And we're trying to do whatever we can to make sure that is minimized. So that's why we use text, because it's a less threatening communication as opposed to picking up the phone and calling you. Plus, there's opt-outs. You can text opt-in at any time.
Sure. If I may, I believe you, but I'm just curious about how you reassured the consumer right there on the spot. How they do that.
Other than disclaimers and making sure that they understand that they have the right to control this process. I wouldn't say we're having to do really anything to market that fact, because I don't think we've seen any problems with that. But really, I think it's a less threatening way to use or to get that information, and so that you're not having to deal with Joe Schmo calling you nonstop, trying to say, "Hey, I got this car for sale still." You know, it's a way to communicate in a less threatening format. So at the beginning of that interaction, it's up to that shopper if they want to take that step to text the car and get that information back. Yep.
Hey there, Josh Gecky with Family Man Home Inspections. What an awesome product and like a great thing for our city to support and have in town. I wonder if you've considered, or if you're thinking about, or maybe you've done some market research on other competitors getting into the real estate market, using this for a real estate application.
Really good question. It kind of goes back to the watercraft, ATV, RV. I came up with this based on automotive, and there is a lot to do in the automotive space. It's really difficult to get to that space, and so we're there. And so our focus is still on automotive. But I said then, and I'll say it, they hear me say it all the time, if an industry came to us, if a market came to us, we'll go after it. And so the market came to us there. We were just approached in St. Louis by the real estate market, commercial real estate market. A pretty big offer. And so we're trying to figure out how to approach that, because it's not only just that, it's money. There's a lot that's being offered in this thing. And so we're trying to figure that out. But there is a huge amount of opportunity in the real estate space. They have the technology out there. It's just, in my opinion, there's some work to be done with using this type of technology and some of the things that we've done on the automotive side that we can really enhance that experience over on the real estate side.
Josh, I had 2 parts. First, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thanks for making, for a great story that Springfield has to tell. The second part was to ask you if you had thought about going into the real estate space, but since that's been asked, I'll just go back to part 1 and congratulate you on a great story.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's funny because we get that a lot. The real estate space is primed for disruption as well. And the platform is set up to be able to do that. We've got the for sale by owner too. So you can imagine for sale by owner real estate space, the commercial real estate space, as well as the residential real estate space. There's a lot of opportunities there. And so, yeah, we're exploring that, and it can get really exciting. Thank you, though. Appreciate it, Gary.
Hey, Josh. I'm Vince with PostNet Technologies on the south side.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I just wanted to say I love your idea, and it's really, really wonderful to see those sorts of innovations happening right here, just to kind of echo everyone else's sentiment. I had a question about your web platform and the search functions. Is there a way for, if someone doesn't want to necessarily go to a dealership, to search, say, Toyota Tundras near me?
Yes. Not yet. So again, that goes back to our focus and making sure that we're focused on what the core value proposition of our product is. But as we build the platform out even more and get a lot of these deals coming to fruition, we have that built into the platform. It's just not live. We're working with a partner here that's also a local partner that has a huge amount of inventory that we can play with. And we're exploring that as well. But we got to figure out how to stay on our core focus and not kind of get too wide focused. But what I would like to do is have all the vehicles that we're working on, like with the Nissan deal, the Enterprise deal, the Toyota deal, all of those. There's a lot of inventory there, as you can imagine. And how can we monetize that through a search feature on the platform?
Josh, thanks, man. I know there's a lot more questions for Josh. He will be available at 10 o'clock out in the main lobby, so feel free to connect with him then. You probably know the question that's coming next because you've been here before, but what can we do as a community to help you?
Well, I didn't know that question was going to be asked, but I am prepared for it if my clicker wants to click through. Did I get unplugged? Can you just hit?
I did unplug.
Can you just hit that? No? Nope. Go hit enter. Keep going. There it is.
Oops, sorry. There we go.
That's all right. Like I said, I didn't know this question was going to be asked, but I was prepared for it. So no, there's a lot of things that could be done, and we don't have enough time for it. But so we've been raising. So in this technology startup space, you got to raise money. It's just, especially the approach that we've been taking, there is a long lead time with these deals that we're working on. And so working our process to those deals to hit, we're working towards those strategic investor partners. We've got a huge amount of interest up in St. Louis because that's where Capital Innovators is. But we really are trying to get the local investment community involved in this. And so we do have some really cool people that are already involved locally, but we are looking to help build that team even further. So if anybody knows anyone that's interested in being part of this on the investment side, please let us know. And I can't talk to you up on stage about it, but I can talk to you after the show. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Josh, you commented that we were laughing before that you were going to talk about your hair. And so I just want to thank you for being such a shining example of a startup.
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. All right.
All right.
Always great ways to connect in the community. Of course, if you come on a regular basis, you know the value of this setting. So plan on coming, inviting somebody next week to come. But if you want other ways to connect in the community, take your phone out. I'm going to try to move a little bit slower so you can take pictures. You may not be able to see all of this, but take a picture of all these things. Check out all of our social media so that you can see the announcements going on. The E-Factory, if you are making so much money and you need a tax shield, a tax benefit, talk to Brian Kincaid. I saw you out there, Brian. Put your hand way up. One of the sharpest dudes in the room. They've been awarded $75,000 in tax credit. Essentially, give money to them. You get to write it off as a gift, and you get a tax credit because of that. Brian's email is over there in the corner. Great way to help a great cause. As you heard from Josh, the E-Factory is doing great things, and we want to help them in any way we can. O-Steam, always a great part also. The Ozarks Mini Maker Fair, Saturday, June 11th, 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock at the Library Center on South Campbell. If you've not been involved with them, they're always doing very innovative things, great ways to connect in the community. Database systems. How many of you love your local Mac dealer here in town? They presented just a couple of months ago, always doing they always have trainings to be able to get involved. Mastering iMovie, Thursday, June 9th. Web design with Squarespace. I have a good friend of mine owns a few hundred properties here in town. His wife's an artist. He comes on a regular basis to this. He took that class, him and his wife, and they said it was incredibly valuable, definitely worth their time and their money. Ranking in Google, SEO that works, Thursday, June 23rd. You can find them at databasespringfield.com. This Missouri Small Business and Technology Development Centers, Rayana in the crowd out there somewhere, hand up, green. Successful Business Planning and Funding, June 8th and 9th, 6 to 9, $139. You can register there. And let me go back to that really quick. I've attended some of their classes. Incredibly valuable. If you're working in the startup space or the entrepreneurial space, get involved with them. They know what they're doing. Refine M. Trainings at refinem.com, or you can call Ozark Regional Agile User Group, June 10th. Advanced Techniques in Stakeholder Management, July 12th. And if you notice, I just simply read these announcements, but here's why we do this and take so much time to do this, is that our goal is to help grow the entrepreneurial community. And so to do that, over cups of coffee, we join together here today, but also we want to connect with those of you in the community doing great things. We want to be a connector of people. And so to do that, if you have an announcement, make sure you let us know. Send your logo, contact info, announcement to Springfield Mo at 1 Million Cups. We have a new 1 Million Cups blog, The Refill Station. Find it on Medium and at 1 Million Cups SGF. Today, we have a fill-in on social media. Aria Morton, raise your hand up over there. She's a little tiny, so you might not be able to see her. Evangel graduate, doing a tremendous job. Nathan's out of town for the next couple of weeks. Find and follow all of our different social media channels. And then if you want to present, or you know somebody that would make a great presentation, connect with us. Apply at 1 Million Cups Springfield. Go on there. We'll reach out to you soon. And we have a lot of great presentations in the next few months, really over the summer season. You're going to love coming on a regular basis. But you don't want to miss the chance to present if you think this would be a great fit for you. A lot of you reach out to me to come and present. But if you know somebody, here's what we're looking for. People that are within their first 5 years, that don't have everything figured out, this could serve as a great venue and a platform for them to ask questions, to receive some insight, to build connections and relationships. And so make sure, whether it's you or somebody you know, connect. Now, on to our next presenter, one of my very good friends. We get together for coffee on a regular basis. Marlene Chism. Let's welcome her, international speaker, communicator, and author.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to see friends that I've known since the beginning of this journey. It was last year in May when I published my second commercially published book, No Drama Leadership. And it's so interesting how we're really in the marketing business, but it's easy just to forget that that's an opportunity to market the book once again, to say happy birthday. And I hadn't even thought about it. until Deb Bellotti gave me a call, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. But it was Cinco de Mayo when the book was published last year, and I did my 1 Million Cups at the E-Factory talking about the book. And when you've published a book, when people meet you out on the street, or they've heard you, or they know you, the first thing they say is, well, how are book sales? And there's so many things that I could say and ways I could answer that would all be accurate. I could say it should be a lot better. I could say, as hard as I've worked, I would have thought I would have sold double the amount that I've sold. Or I could say, fantastic, I could give you numbers and you wouldn't know what that means. Or I could say, I'm almost in the top 5% of all authors who author a business book. So one of my philosophies that I teach in workshops and training is that knowing your feelings won't change the facts, but knowing the facts can change your feelings. And when you change your feelings, you can change your results. So I'm going to give you some facts. There's over 11,000 business books published every single year, and less than 6% of all business books sell 5,000 in the entire lifetime of the book. So when you start to understand that, you're not near as upset when you think, oh my God, I've only sold that many and I've worked this hard and that's all I've done is market. So I want to talk today about the myths, mistakes, and magic of publishing a book. How many people would like to publish a book someday? It's not an unusual desire, and really I've never had a desire since the first two. I thought I'm never doing it again, because when you really do it, it's a whole different journey than the idea of doing it. So the first myth is that it's all about book sales, and that's why people ask you that question. How many books have you sold? But the truth is, you're not doing it to be in the book-selling business. You're doing it to create a platform, a bigger platform for yourself, and to be able to use it as a marketing tool to showcase your expertise and to send to a decision maker to say, look, I've written about this, so you can trust me. There's a major, a publisher that decided to take this project on. So it's really not about book sales until it is, because you'll never get another book deal if you don't sell a certain amount, because the publisher will not take the chance on you. So it depends on how you see it. The next myth is, I have a good idea, and my good idea will be a good business book. Has anybody ever thought that? Or even just a good, like, I've got a novel I'm writing. Really, the publisher doesn't care about your good idea. They care about what money they can make and what markets you already have. And yet, at the same time, if you don't have a good idea, you're also not going to get the book. So these are more like paradoxes than they are myths. And the next myth, and I get this at least monthly, I get someone that either emails me, in fact, I did today, someone that wants to become a speaker, or someone that's already a professional, already has their business, and they want to understand how to maximize by authoring or by speaking. And so they think, once I get a book, then I need to get the book first, and then I'll get in a speaker's bureau. They think they have it mapped out. Or once I get a book, that's going to get me business, and they don't understand how competitive this world is when you're into leadership and organizational development and that kind of thing. Once I get a book, then I'll make more money, I'll be a bestseller, and they just really don't know how it works. And at the same time, once you do get the book, if you've already established yourself, then all those things are true. So one of the things that I've learned on this journey of, and I'm not in my fifth year, I've been speaking and evolving over the last 15 to 17 years, but what I've really learned is that it's a both-and world. There is no one complete, it depends on the level of consciousness from which you ask and understand a question. And so it's not this or that, it's this and that. It depends on what you're wanting to know, where you're starting from, and what you're asking, and what your objective is. So here's the myths, and so it's more of a paradox. And so the mistakes. I could stand up here and talk about all the successes that I've had or what I perceive to be successes, but what I'm finding is that people feel more connected when they understand the mistakes in the journey, because you can see one snapshot and think that it's a wonderful life and it's so great. In fact, when I walked in today, an old friend of mine, Barb Baker, said, man, you must have figured this out. And I said, no, I'm a blind man with a cane searching for the next curb. I said, I haven't figured anything out. I keep reinventing. And she said, but aren't we all? Because of technology, we just have to learn to be resilient and to course correct faster. So really, my gift is more tenacity than anything else, and just continuing to take the next right step and being willing to fall down in front of the community, and so that's part of it. So it's a mistake to believe, which I believed with the last book, No Drama Leadership, After that book, I said, I am never writing another book. I don't want to. I can milk these 2 books the rest of my career. I'm heading towards 60. Surely they'll last another 10 years. It's going to be great. And I don't want to. I don't want the drama. I don't want the trouble. I don't want the worry and what you have to give back to your publisher. You do have to sell books even though it's not for that purpose for you. So I really didn't want that again. But you know what? It is a mistake to think that if you want to be in this business, you're not going to write another book. You have to stay relevant. Okay, so after I got 6 months of rest and the book did relatively well, I thought, I've got this great idea for this next book. And the great idea came because in January, which I always do in January, I publish something that has to do with the new year because people are more reflective, they're on LinkedIn, they're reading, you get a lot of exposure. So I wrote an article called 16 Ways to Elevate Your Leadership in 2016. It was being saved for a publicist to be able to use and to present to like USA Today or some big, I wanted it in a major publication because I knew that they would be hungry for that kind of thing. And what happened was my assistant saw it sitting in one of my folders and said, well, I've got that published out on LinkedIn and Twitter and everything else. It's all linked up. And I'm like, oh my God! And I'm like, take it down. I can't, it's linked everywhere. I'm like, okay, so that's gone. That opportunity is gone. And you have to just course correct and say, okay, that's how it is. So LinkedIn started picking up this. It started getting published everywhere. I made the cover of another magazine. It's like it went crazy. And so I said, I'm so clear, because I really believe in this divine guidance, and I really seek first the kingdom it's been my mantra for a while. And I said, I just have this knowing that this great idea, my next book is going to be called Elevate Your Leadership, Elevate Your Life. It's going to be easy. It's going to be 52 chapters, 1 a week, 1,200 words. It's a book club. You can get 4 people in a book club. Each one can read a chapter. You meet once a month. I had it mapped out, man. And even people that have never thought of themselves as leaders are going to now take on this new identity. So I started writing, and I thought if I can get 15 chapters in before I talk to Bibliomotion, then I'm already ahead of the game. And when they say yes, which they will, because I've had enough book sales to be considered again, when they say yes, I'm already ahead of the game. It's easy. I know who my editor is going to be, like on my own, to make it all complete and get the periods and the commas and all that stuff in the right place, which I'd rather hang myself with a rope than to have to do that. So I had it all mapped out, and we had a conversation. And guess what Biblio said? They said, well, first of all, it's taking you in a whole different direction. It's not strategically aligned with where you're going. It's going to be on the outside perimeter of every person out there versus your network and then that network and the businesses that you've already gone for. And I went, wow. And you know what? I could tell that I had grown because I didn't take it personally and I didn't start ruminating about, I'm so stupid, I should have known this. My God, I could have seen that for someone else, because that's normally where I would have gone 5 years ago. But what I learned was, if it's a good idea, but wrong strategy, wrong direction for where you are. Now, I know this book will be published. I'm so clear on that, because I can self-publish it someday, and I could find another publisher. But what I've learned is that when you're working with someone that also has your best interests and they're telling you the truth, think about it. That feedback is valuable. She said it would be confusing to the marketplace, and I agree right now, it probably would be. And then it's really not a stepping stone. And I was writing before getting the okay from the publisher. I don't really regret that, because I can recycle those as articles and draw from it. So that for me was okay, because that was easy writing. But I do want to talk about the magic, because there's a lot of magic in this, in writing a book and getting published. It positions you as an expert. It brings clients to you. It allows you to significantly increase your fees, and you get increased opportunity. So I'm going to tell you about the magic of my first book, Stop Workplace Drama. I got a big endorsement. It forces you to reach out and do stuff that you would never dream of doing. And I asked Stephen Covey to endorse it, and he did. And so that's huge, because it positions you as at that level when you get an endorsement like that. I got to speak at an international leadership conference that I've been trying to get into, but I wasn't in their mind. It doesn't matter how good of a speaker you are or what your message is. If you're not in their minds elevated up here, you're not going to get those opportunities, no matter what you've got to say and how you can prove it. You have to be perceived as an expert, and this got me an opportunity to speak at an international leadership conference. I have over 5,000 sales, almost 10,000. I thought it was 11, and I think I said that last year, but I checked it again, and I guess I was daydreaming, but it's at 9,000 right now, 9,500 in sales, and still selling. I do have a trademark on Stop Workplace Drama, so there's opportunities. Maybe in 2 years I'll be up here like Josh going, and then I've got this technology company and they're buying my trademark and I'm just trying, maybe I'll do that. I don't know, I would love to. But it opened up a new industry for me in public safety. And you know how Josh said, you have to focus in. That's been one of my biggest challenges because I'm very creative and I love the feeling and the doing of it. And sometimes I don't care that much about the money. I know that sounds awful for a business person, but I love this work and I love to see transformation. But I've had to learn to think like a business person. And this journey has taught me that and it's teaching me that. But it opened up this new industry that came to me. I didn't try to go to this industry, and that's what I'm learning now is like, let your expertise be your magnet so that other people want you because of who you are and what you can do and what you've accomplished from where you started. And so it was public safety, and I want to tell you a little bit about that story. I got a phone call, and this gives you all the journey of those myths and how it works. I got a phone call one day from a woman, well, I got it on the answering machine, and it was a woman in public safety that was a director, and she was really in this bad place. She was struggling, but had been a director for a long time, and she was a leader. She had found my book and had wanted to talk to me, and she was going to try to make her own training program out of it, but she decided she wanted to be a student of this work. And so we talked on the phone for a really long time, and I didn't think they could afford what I do because it was government, it was county, city, agreement, all that stuff, and I thought, no, I could hang myself with a rope whenever it comes to that kind of stuff. I want corporate, it's easier. Well, she said, don't you worry about the budget, honey. I got ways to figure this out. I want you here. And so I went to North Carolina, and I did this workshop. To make a long story short, she took this work, made it her own, really got in. It really did more consulting within her own department, and then wanted to know more about the background of my work and the internet marketing and all this stuff. And so she asked me, could I do an internship? And I thought, why not? You know, she's willing to work for free, and she loves technology because they're all about technology. So I trained her on everything on the back end of marketing and the e-zines and the shopping cart and all that. Then she wanted to go with me to conferences. So she paid her own way. She went with me. She started being my assistant. I had never had anybody take care of me and, you know, like go pick up the check and just make sure things were in and make those phone calls for me. And sometimes I had to put the reins on her because I'd be like, oh my God, no, you're not. She'd call and say, I've got you booked. I'd be like, you don't. You don't. You really don't. You're like Biden. So it was really a funny story. But what happened was she kept saying the market is ripe for this. Our market needs this. They don't have any leadership. And she tried to market me and my product and this workshop for a year based on the book, could not sell me at even half price. And in 1 year, she started booking it for herself, doing my programs for the same prices that I was getting after 12 years of on my platform. Does that make sense? So, you know, when you're in the business, you have to deal with your own emotions too. The little bit of envy, jealousy, like, oh my God, that's not fair. It took me 12 years and all of a sudden. Like I had to deal with my inner demons because it's seeking the kingdom, right? So it's like that wasn't peace for me. I couldn't figure out, do I really want to let someone share this work? And so that was our journey. She became my executive assistant, and she also travels with me, but does it on her own in this industry, and sometimes we do it together. So what was interesting is that she was with me on the journey to the next book, and I believed that her story would be the great entry story of No Drama Leadership, of how we met, what happened, and why leaders at every level, and if we only see leadership as CEO, that's a big mistake, because the supervisors and everyone else are trying to implement that strategy, but if they don't understand how it all works, it's not going to happen. So I thought, let me show this executive audience how this all works. And I gave her story in the beginning of this book. And as a result, what's happened is, even though this book is not for public safety, and really not even for the level in which we're reaching, because her story's in it, they buy the book because they feel connected. And so that was strategy. And I got 3 big endorsements with this book. One was Marshall Goldsmith, the top 50 thinker, the biggest coach in executive leadership. I got Frances Hasselbein, she's in charge of the Peter Drucker Institute. He's the biggest management guru ever, and she was the CEO of Girl Scouts USA. She's in her 90s. I interviewed her for the book, and she endorsed me, and as a result, I got to be in a prestigious journal, which I've brought some of these things up here if you want to see it afterwards. But she endorsed the book and said I was right aligned with her beliefs and understanding of leadership. And then I also interviewed Dr. Edgar Schein, and many of you might remember studying him in your college classes. I remember studying him, and he was an MIT Sloan professor, very prestigious, and didn't even like the title of my book, and yet he still endorsed me. And it was a very long endorsement, which they had to condense. So I got the 3 big endorsements. The strategy of using Heather's story, I've had global and international, not only sales, but sponsorships. So Express Employment Professionals, 700 franchises, interviewed Bob Funk. That was the International Leadership Conference that I spoke to with Stop Workplace Drama. Are you seeing the stepping stones? Interviewed the CEO. He bought 12, 13, 1400 books with Express logo at the top. That was the beginning of making all those book sales right off the top. And now I know you need to do a lot of that. Get 5 companies like that and make that happen and just get it over with, get it done. Citigroup, Citi Asia Pacific did a webinar across the globe, had to start at 10:30 at night because their time zone is so much different. TriTech is a software company that Heather introduced me to, and they hired her to go and do a program, and now they want to work with us, and they have a mailing list of 130,000 in various industries. Not only healthcare is another one that's happening for me right now that's coming to me. Then there's the magic of 1 million cups. I was at the gym working out, and I take my cell phone with me and listen to my music, and I looked on there, and there was my friend Deb Bellotti. She says, we have an opening. She said, would you be willing to do 1 million cups a refill? And I said, let me tell you later. And I was thinking, man, I don't have time for this right now. I would love to, but like I've got to put this together and do all this. And I said to myself, you know what? I wonder if she would be willing for me to do it on the 25th because I'm bringing Heather in, and I've promised her I would bring her to watch 1 million cups. And she goes, by the way, I meant the 25th, not next week. And Heather's here today. So please stand up, Heather, and just, so there's my gal. So there's the story, there's the stepping stone, there's the miss, there's the mistakes, there's the hard work. You know, this isn't really as exciting as what we heard Josh. I mean, that to me is like, wow, I need to think bigger and I need to think from the top. I continue to reinvent the wheel, and that's what I do being creative. But that's the journey, and I have some things up here for you to look at, and I'm open to any questions you have should you want to write a book or you want to know more about my journey.
Thank you, Marlene. All right, we have time for a couple questions. There is one thing I noticed when you asked how many of you are aspiring authors, and I did see a lot of people raise their hands. So I'm very ignorant when it comes to the process of publishing a book. And so I think, okay, yeah, obviously you have to have an author, someone to write the book, a publisher, which I don't fully understand everything a publisher does. Like, who are the key team members you need to have in place when you decide you want to write and publish a book?
Well, writing is just the work of writing. Publishing is a whole different beast. And first of all, you do have to have a platform. They will not publish your book if they don't think they can sell it. So whether that's I'm a head of association and there's 5,000 people and everybody's going to get a book, or they're going to say yes to it. They've sold their 5,000. So you do have to have a platform. Then after that, many authors wait for 10 years writing. You have to write a proposal first with your idea and how it's going to sell. And a proposal is like writing a book in and of itself. If the proposal goes through, you'll get a publisher, but most people hire an agent first, and that agent takes 5% of your royalties. And they have the connections with publishers. But the good thing for my journey is that I now have enough credibility to call publishers just directly. So once you get, like Stop Workplace Drama has done so well, that I have enough friends in this industry that can say, I could introduce you to a publisher. So you've got to have the publisher, and then you've got to have your own personal editor to clean up your writing, because nobody's good enough to correct everything while you're in that creative mode. You do have to pay. It's expensive to write a book. You have to invest your own money. And when people think that the publisher's going to do all that work, no, they will not. They're strapped. They need to make money. They'll use their distribution channels that last for 2 weeks. The rest of it's up to you. You've got to market. You've got to sell. So that's kind of the process.
Hi, Marlene. Melanie Polsher. You said something at the very beginning, a nice little quote, and I just think it was really inspiring, but I forgot what it was. Can you
Knowing
repeat
knowing your feelings won't change the facts,
Yeah.
but knowing your facts can change your feelings.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. It's a very inspiring story.
Because really, if you think about it energetically, we all operate from what we're feeling. If I feel depressed, if I'm scared today to speak to you, I'm going to operate from you're not my friend, you're not going to support me. And so if I say the fact is there's people in the audience that they are at different levels. We don't have to be at the same level. We're all at different levels in different areas. That's the beauty of community. So wherever you come from energetically, and I mean, I love to talk about this stuff because really when you're at peace and you're excited and happy, good things happen because you're in a good place. But if you're preoccupied, you're not productive, you're making mistakes, you're upset. And you know what? You're living life. This may be your last day on earth and you spend it worrying about something that may not happen. So doesn't that make sense? I mean, I love this work of working leadership from the inside out and letting your leadership be an expression of who you are. And so that statement of knowing your feelings won't change the facts. But if you work with facts and feeling, you're going to be right on target. It can help you course correct very quickly with your attitude or with the reality. Yes.
Marlene, thank you. You are an awesome inspiration in this community. And Marlene and Josh are both available right after this event, so please feel free to touch base with them. Marlene, what can we do for you?
Okay, there's 100 people in here. Everybody needs to buy 6 books today. No, because it's not about book sales. But if you've got a bookmarker, so if you do feel like at Amazon, that's very helpful to me just because it's helpful. And you can give that to someone. I'm glad to autograph it. Anybody wants to buy a case? I did this last year. I just forgot to mention it. If you buy 22 and show me that you did off of Amazon, I'm glad to come to your company for a signing or a 30-minute, 45-minute talk, Q&A, talking about these things, about your feelings and about resistance and leadership. I love to do that because most of the time the small businesses simply don't have the fees to support what I need to have happen here in Springfield. So I love to be able to give back. That's a way I can do it very affordably, and that has to be in Springfield. There's some exceptions with some different months. Please connect with me today on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter because my great assistant has made some banners, and if you'd be glad to share those today, it just puts it out there on social media, and it does increase the sales and inquiries. So that's how you can help me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marlene. Yeah, I know I could probably take a page out of her playbook. As I've kind of learned leadership over the last few years, it's an art form, I think. So, guys, thank you so much for being here today. Guys, great to see a good crowd on a rainy day, so we do thank you for that. You make 1 Million Cups possible with your questions, your time, your presence here every day. We are growing the entrepreneurial community, and that's really what it's all about for 1 Million Cups. So as Craig said earlier, we are looking for presenters always. So if you know somebody who's in that first 5 years who'd be a good fit to get up here and share their story, man, we love having great presenters, and these guys today were just a great example of that. Thank you, Josh, for being amazing, and thanks for the CellARide team for showing up. Chris, Karina, hi. Hi. So come on out to the lobby, grab a cup of coffee, say hi to the presenters, ask them more questions, and we'll see you next week. Thanks very much. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us for the after show with 1 Million Cups. I'm here with Marlene Chism, and we're going to just spend a few minutes asking some questions. You know, in your presentation, you touched on a lot of things regarding leadership, and I think you're very passionate about that. As I've come to be, I see the need for good leadership teaching out there. What do you see as the biggest need within the leadership community? What are people really struggling with? Like, how do you help those felt needs among the leadership community?
That's a great question. I'm seeing this across all industries and across all levels of the organization. I'm seeing that leaders do not know how to have difficult performance conversations. Now, I'm not talking about a performance evaluation that you do once a year. I'm talking about the conversation where I say, you know what? I noticed that you didn't do X, Y, and Z.
Yes, I did.
So I'm noticing that people avoid those conversations, and then they either fire someone and they're surprised, or they move them to another department, or they wait till someone retires, and that's creating what I call a leak in the boat. We're losing employees, there's turnover, there's absenteeism, there's misunderstanding, so the inability to communicate and deal with the emotional components of leadership.
Yeah, that is really hard. I don't like doing that either. We should talk sometime. Wonderful presentation today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. You know, we always want to end every conversation with a community involvement. So what can we as a community be doing to help you, Marlene?
I love that you're willing to help. And I think just let the community know that there's work that I do. I do work with executives and coaching, providing leadership development and training. There's a lot of things that we do. So just spread the word, get on social media, go to Facebook, LinkedIn, share my work, marlenechism.com, reach out, ask about how I can help you gain clarity and improve profitability.
Thank you so much.
Hey, we are here with Josh Holstein with CellARide. Josh, thank you so much for coming out today and presenting again. Interesting story, one of the first 5 companies in the E-Factory, which is a local small business startup incubator. You presented when 1 Million Cups was in the E-Factory, and now you presented in the new space. Just real quick, what are your thoughts on the new space here?
Oh, I love it. I think the setup is great. It's nice to have a stage to be on, and so it's, you know, I've presented in a lot of places, including the E-Factory, and every single time that I've presented, especially in one of the cups or the European cups, there's been a great audience. And so I think that the look and feel of the environment that you're in is key, but also with the people and the questions that are brought to, or that are asked of you on stage has been, it's great.
So you're about 3-4 years old, a tech company, startup. You're kind of at that precipice of some really big deals and seeing a lot of hard work come to fruition. If you could sum up one key word of advice for someone else who might be in that 2-3 year range that is kind of continuing to truck along, what would that be?
Well, I heard this a while back from someone else, so I can't take credit for it. Calculated patience is key. But I've also said if you're going to fail fast, and that's what I said in this presentation. So those two things I think I've learned over the last, it's actually 5.5 years that I created this. But being at the E-Factory, being part of this 1 million cups twice now, being part of Capital Innovators up in St. Louis, all those things led us to where we're at today. And so if you have the patience to really work through that, it pays off in the long run, as long as you're dedicated to it. But taking that top-down approach, yes, that top-down approach has delayed us from what we originally thought, but now understanding how long it takes, those lead times for those bigger corporations, we've waited it out, and now we're actually at or near the finish line with about 7 different deals. So patience is key.
Very good. And so you mentioned you presented at other 1 million cups. You had, I thought you said at least in Springfield. Okay, got you.
I've actually been at other 1 million cups, but this one by far is seated leaps and bounds on the ones that I've been to. I won't name any cities.
Okay. Hey, okay, so you had mentioned when you first started you were a team of 1. What does your team look like now? And at what point do you decide to add a new team member? Have you maybe made a mistake of bringing somebody on too early in the past, or not bringing somebody on early enough in the past? And how do you kind of navigate those waters?
Yeah, so we have focused now on building the support team as opposed to a sales team. So when we realized that we need to become the experts on the technology, be the experts on the technology, and then plug into the experts in the industry, that's when things changed on how we hire as well. So now what we've done is built a team that has created a support approach to supporting one of those 7 deals, or any one of those 7 deals. And so we've had to hire before we even have those deals hit, so that we can be ready when they do hit. And so currently we have 3 local employees, but we have a total of 7 across the country, and even 1 overseas. And so making sure that we have the right team that can support those deals has been what we've been doing today. So of course, yes, we made some hires in the past that didn't work out, but I'm pretty sure we have a pretty solid team these days. And we have a dog. A chief doodler. She's a golden doodle. She comes around. It's nice to have a good culture in the startup community there at the E-Factory. So she'll come in, and you'll walk in and you'll see her. She'll greet you at the door.
The dog CellARide shirt.
Absolutely. Yeah, we put a shirt on her, took a picture, and then we actually cartoonize all of our pictures, and we put them up on the website as the team. And so she's on the website, or she's actually going to be on the website. So.
It's awesome. So there you have it. Thank you so much, Josh, for coming and presenting again. Josh Holstein with CellARide. Check them out. Come check us out at the Springfield Art Museum every Wednesday.